Hello everyone, my name is Noah Raven and welcome to the Xander Zone. In today's episode, we'll be discussing Springtrap MCI and what its story would be assuming it is canon. Now, as always, I'll be listing how we will talk about this so we get the best and most concise story possible. First, we will talk about what Springtrap MCI is, then what Remnant MCI is, then the evidence for Springtrap MCI, then its issues, then the story for Springtrap MCI, then the issues for its story, and lastly, my final thoughts on the theory. Now, before we get into this episode, I have made 3 other parts of this series talking about Molten MCI, Rockstar MCI, and my own personal theory, Remnant MCI. These parts will all help with this episode as they'll be brought up throughout this video. Now, as always, if you enjoy this episode, please do hit that like and subscribe button as we have a goal of 3,000 subs by the end of the month. While you're at it, comment down below your own theories, thoughts, disagreements, or really anything. Just make sure to keep it kind, calm, and respectful, and I'll do my best to respond to your comment. Lastly, share this video with your friends and family as every bit helps, and without further ado, let's get right into the video. Okay, so Springtrap MCI is essentially a theory that the reason why William even lives after the Springlock incident is because of the FNAF 1 children attaching themselves to William, keeping him alive all the way through to Pizza Sim. Explain how he can survive for that long, being 30 plus years. The reason why this theory exists is because in Pizza Sim, specifically when you are doing the salvage for Afton, you can hear a very faint heartbeat coming from Afton every now and then. Which you don't hear at any other point in the game, as well as one of the main songs from UCN also having a heartbeat. Which, since UCN takes place in William's mind, it's not crazy to explain that this is William's heartbeat, meaning he is still alive before, during, and past Pizza Sim. The only way we know how this can happen is through another spirit attaching itself to another being. In this case, being the MCI attaching themselves to William when he dismantles them in FNAF 3's Follow Me minigame. Speaking of FNAF 3, this is the final reason why this theory exists. It's because the Phantoms are around when William arrives in FNAF 3. The Phantoms aren't around on night 1 because William isn't there. However, on night 2, when William does arrive, that's when you start seeing the Phantoms, showing us that they are in some way attached to William, meaning that all the Phantoms are attached to William, keeping him alive, which is why he survives the FNAF 3 fire. He literally cannot die. Those are the main points as to why Springtrap MCI exists as a theory. However, before we really explain Springtrap MCI and its evidence, what is Remnant? Okay, so let's get into what Remnant is. Remnant is essentially when a soul which typically binds itself with metal is later melted down very carefully into like a mercury-like consistency, which can later be used to be injected into other objects, which in the FNAF universe is typically an animatronic. We know this based off of Pizza Sim's blueprint of the Scooper, or SCUP for short, which means Scalable Creation of Ulterior Presence. As you can see, the scoop is used to excavate an animatronic, but mainly used to inject Remnant into objects, and the way this is obtained is by heating Remnant at sustained temperature to make it malleable. If it's overheated, the effects of Remnant may be neutralized forever, with it basically now just being melted metal and nothing else. So, once it has no motion by the human eye, it's at the right temperature. Though, once this is achieved, the Remnant is lined on the interior of the scoop and is used to inject Remnant into something. However, as it states, too much of this Remnant being injected can negate its effect. I mean, too much Remnant can lead to no Remnant as well. Okay, so let's get into the evidence for Springtrap MCI. The first piece of evidence is, of course, William's heartbeat in Pizza Sim. We know that any human in this state should not have a beating heart, especially after being dead for 30 plus years by this point. However, he does, which is really interesting. Something else would have to be at play here, and we know the spirits of the MCI could have latched onto William when they springlocked him in the Follow Me minigames, which is why they disappear right next to him and not leave the room to go back to their suits, meaning that the extra Remnant or soul could be keeping him alive or healing him over time. This also happens in the Phasma Frights books, in which Andrew does keep William alive for years just to torment him, meaning it is possible for this to happen with multiple spirits. Next piece of evidence again is the Phantoms. What's most interesting about the Phantoms is that not only do they have the same eyes as William, but they also only appear when William arrives in FNAF 3. Not a day before or later, but exactly when he arrives. So the fact that the design and when they are active are the exact same, that could be pointing us to a connection between William and the Phantoms. Next piece of evidence I want to bring up is Springtrap's design. It was discovered that maybe the reason why Springtrap looks this way is possibly because after the FNAF 3 fire, William went back to the FNAF 1 location, found the Golden Freddy suit, and used some of its parts, which is why he has different feet, nose, and some other pieces of his suit here and there. So if anything, this could flat out confirm that at least one spirit, that being Golden Freddy's spirit, could have latched onto William, since Golden Freddy's suit is now literally a part of William. Next piece of evidence is any fire in FNAF. With FNAF 3, we know William survives, and you could call this a stroke of luck, which is totally possible, or it could be that he has some spirits latched onto him to keep him alive. However, if you still believe that this fire was a stroke of luck, Pizzeria Simulator is something else. There is no chance that William would have ever survived this fire. However, we know William is actually alive during this game due to his heartbeat that we can hear, and we know he survives in UCN due to the spirit of Golden Freddy being attached to him. So the true piece of evidence here is that William has been able to survive 2 fires that he was definitely caught in, meaning that something had to have been latched onto him before the FNAF 3 fire or right as it started to keep him alive. The next and last piece of evidence that I have is the fact that without a spirit latched onto him, William does indeed die. We know this since UCN does end, and regardless whether it was due to an explosion or not, William does die once Golden Freddy's spirit leaves William's body after getting its revenge, meaning that William could not live on his own, as this spirit possibly would have been essentially his life support. As in the story of the man in room 1280, many nurses and others try to kill William in many ways, and none of them ever work, meaning that it is impossible to kill William unless you unbind the spirit or spirits latched onto him. Now, I know I said final piece of evidence, but last piece of evidence is Henry's speech at the end of Pizza Sim. This speech talks over many things. However, the one line we will be talking about is when Henry says he needs to bring them all back, which in this case would mean the MCI kids that are attached to William, Charlie, Elizabeth, and Molten Freddy. However, that's all the evidence I have for Springtrap MCI. So let's get right into its issues. Okay, so Springtrap MCI has as many issues as it does evidence, so let's get right into it. First is how many spirits are latched onto him. We know that he at the very least has one confirmed one being attached to him, being Golden Freddy's spirit. However, past that, we actually have no evidence of this, as the other spirits are most likely bound to other animatronics, whether it be Molten Freddy, the Rockstars, or something else that you believe. Meaning that either only one spirit is at play in William, or Molten Freddy or the Rockstars aren't possessed, which I want to bring attention to Molten Freddy's blueprint in Pizza Sim. Now, this wasn't in the final game, however, it is still a good piece of evidence. It does state that Molten Freddy has the highest amount of Remnant out of anyone in Pizza Sim, meaning that the suits within him, being Ballora, Funtime Freddy, and Funtime Foxy, all have Remnant within them. Now, you're probably saying, Raven, those other pieces of Remnant are from their past victims, and honestly, you'd be right to that degree. However, you're only a third correct. The reason for this being the only 2 Funtimes that are actually programmed to kill are technically Funtime Freddy and Baby. The other 2 are used to distract parents and kids or lure them away by mimicking their parents, as they aren't big enough to transfer the body after killing. So they distract while Funtime Freddy or Baby would kill and transfer the body to William. So at most, Funtime Freddy would have Remnant already inside him. However, past that, I think it's highly unlikely. You could make an argument for Funtime Foxy, as they would lure kids away from everybody else. Next is the FNAF 3 fire. Now, you're probably going to yell at me for this, but odds are this was a stroke of luck. The reason being that William isn't badly damaged after this fire, just a little crispy with some damages here and there. So it's a total possibility that William didn't even get caught in the fire that badly. Plus, why are we able to hear his heartbeat in Pizza Sim, but not when he's staring at us right through the window in FNAF 3 or when he's right next to us in the doorway? I feel it's either because he wasn't alive yet, or he was only alive past FNAF 3 due to our next issue, which is how Remnant healing works. We know odds are that Remnant can heal, however, it's a slow process most times. However, just because a spirit is latched onto someone doesn't mean they will heal, as it isn't Remnant. The only way for William to start healing is when he eventually takes pieces from Golden Freddy that had Remnant to them, which would then in turn mean that Golden Freddy's Remnant is healing William, not the spirits latched onto him. So this means William could only really be alive after the FNAF 3 fire, not before or during, which explains his lack of heartbeat in the game. The next issue is when the Phantoms arrive, and this one is purely just whatever issue. Since when FNAF 3 was made, Scott still didn't really have a story for FNAF planned, so this first night being absent of any threats could have just been a game design choice. However, there's no evidence for or against that outside of there just not really a story being planned until after FNAF 3. Last issue is how the spirits latch on to William. We don't know if just disappearing means they latch onto him or just went back to their suits or whatever happened to them. Lastly is Henry's speech. As much as it is evidence, it's also just as much of a counterpoint as how would Henry know that the MCI kids are attached to William at all? He wasn't there when William was spring locked, and we know Henry knows about Remnant, so what are the odds that he could also identify multiple pieces of it? However, that's all the issues I could think of with Springtrap MCI. So let's get to the story assuming it is canon. Okay, so let's get into the story of Springtrap MCI assuming it is canon. Now, as always, I've explained the beginning to the story many times, so I'll be skipping to the parts that really matter, as the beginning still doesn't really change much. William, after sending Michael into the bunker to be killed by the Fun Times, rushes to the FNAF 1 location after Michael told him that he knew they were possessed. Night by night, William dismantled each of the animatronics. However, on his last visit, he was spring-locked by the spirits and died a very painful and slow death. However, as he saw the spirits disappear, he felt himself still alive, still breathing. He didn't understand how he was alive, but he couldn't move. William was stuck in this state for 30 years until FNAF 3. However, let's rewind to Michael's side of things. Michael night by night did what he was supposed to. However, on the final night, Michael was scooped by Ennard and later worn as a skin suit for them to escape in. However, about a week later, Michael's body was too rotten to be worn anymore. So, Ennard left Michael and hid in a sewer grate. Michael, however, was still alive. Now aware of his father's crimes, swore revenge on his father. Ennard during this time kicked out Circus Baby from the amalgamation, and they both eventually repaired themselves, becoming Molten Freddy and Scrap Baby. Fast forward 30 years later, and Michael is working at Fazbear Frights in hopes of finding his father, and he does. On his second night there, William in his rotten suit arrives at the location, with the power of the spirits latched onto him. Night by night, Michael wards off these spirits and William, and on the last night, Michael sets the place on fire in hopes of stopping his father for good. However, Michael didn't know that those phantoms were keeping him alive. So even though Michael escaped and thought his plan worked, it really didn't. William emerged from the fire and wanted revenge on his son for everything he has caused to him. However, William needed an upgrade. He went back to the old and rotten FNAF 1 location and found the old Golden Freddy suit. William took some pieces from him, such as his feet and nose, and used them to repair any broken pieces on him. Michael, however, eventually learned of William surviving and heard of a new location being opened by Henry Emily. Michael knew this was to try to end everything, and applied to the location and got the job to rally up any animatronics with Remnant within them. Night by night, Michael rounded up Molten Freddy, Afton, Lefty, and Scrap Baby. However, something was off about William. His heart was beating this time. He was somehow healed even more than before. This didn't really seem to affect Michael, as by the end of the week, they burned the whole place down, freeing the spirits of Molten Freddy, Lefty, and Scrap Baby. However, William, with the spirits still latched onto him, was still alive. However, he really wasn't, just on the life support of the spirits as they tormented him in his own brain. This torment is what we see in UCN. However, at the end of UCN, the spirits let go of William and let him pass, moving on, bringing us into the FNAF we know today. Okay, so let's get right into the issues with Springtrap MCI Story. Now remember, odds are I missed something here, so if you catch something I didn't, whether it be evidence or issue, please let me know in the comments. Just remember to keep it kind, calm, and respectful. Now the first thing I want to bring up is how William survived that FNAF 3 fire. We know he got caught in it pretty good and was badly damaged. So the question is, how did he survive if he obviously got caught in it? Well, we don't have any definitive evidence for it, which is a major issue, as he would either have to have gotten lucky or Cassidy had to have been attached to him by this point. This is why the Phantoms don't appear when William shows up in Pizza Sim. Now you could say that this is a result of FNAF 3's Happiest Day minigame. They moved on, so all that's left is Cassidy, which is highly possible. Though that's another thing that's hard to decide, as many people believe that the spirits are still around in Pizza Sim, while others believe they've moved on. However, my knowledge, in terms of story, that's all there really is that I myself have caught. So let me know if there's anything that I missed myself in the comments down below. Just remember to keep it kind, calm, and respectful. Okay, I have to give this theory a 6 out of 10. I do think it is possible, however there's a lot of stretches such as the MCI all possessing William and Follow Me, as we have no evidence of this outside of FNAF 3. So it's really a debate on, do you think they stuck around after FNAF 3 or not? If they did, that's a major issue, as why aren't the Phantoms still with William and Pizza Sim? If they aren't, then that's fine, as it would make sense to kind of confirm that they all did possess William at some point. So there are some decent counterpoints to this theory, but also some of it does make sense. So I don't want to rule it out quite yet. So we have to wait to see what we come up with in the next theory video. But without further ado, let's get right into the outro. Okay, and that is all that I have for this episode. So yeah, making this video was really intensive because it's the longest one in terms of just talking about the theory I've actually ever made so far. And well, the next one's gonna be even longer than this. It's gonna be insane. The finale for this, trust me, you guys are going to absolutely love it. But yeah, you know, just to tell you why it was so intensive, I'm actually getting ready to stream with a computer for the first time in my life, and I had to set that up, and that delayed this a little bit, and I had to edit it all in like one day to get it out to you guys in time, as well as to get this finale out to you guys in time, and it's been an absolute pain. So, you know, I would absolutely adore it if you guys would come and just say hi on my Twitch channel at twitch.tv/NarrowRaven. I don't have any footage to show you guys what it looks like right now, but I have everything set up, from collaboration scenes to gameplay, just chatting, all sorts of stuff, alerts and everything. So I think it would just be absolutely so much fun if you guys could stop in, say hi, recommend a game or two, and just have some fun and vibe. I'm usually live currently every Friday and Sunday. You can see the schedule and everything on Twitch. So yeah, that's kind of what I want to say there. Also, as always, I do have a Discord that you can join. We can talk about really anything, the whole wide world there, as well. You can get news for your favorite horror games like Bendy, FNAF, Poppy Playtime, all that stuff, Dead by Daylight, all that fun stuff. Otherwise, that's pretty much everything I have. Of course, Twitter, all that fun stuff. Please do go right ahead and follow all that stuff if you like to just get alerts or just a sneak peek into the funness of my life behind the scenes and just random things that I'll sometimes say on there. So yeah, that's pretty much everything I have to say. Also, another thing, this doesn't have to do with YouTube, but I do want to really thank my friend Jesham. He is a VTuber on Twitch, and he has been helping me so much with setting up all the stuff on my computer, game-wise, stream-wise, everything. So I really do want to thank him. It's been an absolute joy working with him. He's been my friend for absolute long time, I mean years. So Jesh, if you're watching this, thank you very much. And another thing I also want to do is also thank my sister. She's the one that was able to help me get the computer, 1 for college and 2 for streaming. So I don't know if she ever watches my videos, but sister, if you're watching this video, comment down cheeseburger, and I'll know you watched this video. And another thing, I'm just gonna say it right now because I'm just so thankful. Thank you to everyone who, you know, is gonna be there for stream. I'm recording this the day of this first stream. The stream's gonna be happening in like 6 hours from now, 5.5 hours. So that's really exciting. And just, yeah, thank you to everybody. It's gonna be absolutely fun. I'm so excited. I was up to like 1 a.m. last night just because of how excited I was. So yeah, wow. Yeah, so I'm just gonna get into the outro. I've done a lot of thanking, so let's get into the outro. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna do one more thanks. Thank you for watching all of this. It's actually insane that you're watching about 19 minutes and even watching this long into the outro, so thank you. But yeah, that's all I have for today's episode. So yeah, if you enjoyed, please do hit that like, subscribe button, as we do have a goal of 2,000 subs by the end of the month. While you're at it, comment down below your theories, thoughts, comments, or things you might have caught that I didn't, really anything in the whole wide world down in the comments down below. Just remember to keep it kind, calm, and respectful, and if it meets those requirements of being kind, calm, and respectful, I will do my best to respond to you. I'm having a brain fart. Subscribe, comment, share this video with your friends and family, as every single bit helps. And as always, I hope you all enjoyed. Have a great day, stay safe, and peace out.